Hello class, Mr. Guarino here. In this video, I'm going to illustrate how to prepare your cut up pieces to make a good animation so that the arms, the hands, the arms, the elbows can rotate and still look correct. Okay, so this is what I worked on in my last video. So if you see, we have the hand just cut, the arm just cut, and this one just cut, and I filled in the background of SpongeBob. So now, and the reason why I filled in the background of SpongeBob after I cut this apart is, of course, because if I go to my free transform tool, which when you have that layer selected, right upper arm, if you press Control T, you get the free transform tool. This is the rotation point. Remember, if you don't see that circle with the plus sign basically through it, you have to check off this box right here. So if this box is not checked, you don't get to see that rotation point. You want to check that so you can move this down to where the shoulder joint would be, so that when you rotate this, it looks like you would expect it to look like. Now, of course, in our Photoshop file, we're just getting the pieces ready for animation. So in Adobe Animate, we're actually going to have a rotation point that you're also going to move. So here it's just for testing purposes. So it doesn't have to be exact, but it should be pretty close so that you get a good idea of what it's going to look like in Adobe Animate. So now, this one looks fine because when it rotates, you don't see any gaps in SpongeBob because we filled it in. But now if I go to my Move tool, let me not accept that rotation, and I put this back basically where it belongs, and it's a little hard to do when you're not zoomed in, so let me zoom in a lot. Right, I'm zoomed in so far that the colors are now pixelated, and now I can move it better, so it jumped right to where it's supposed to be. So this lower right arm, or right lower arm, I'm selecting that layer, pressing Control T, and I don't even know where I cut it because it matched up so good. Let me spin this so you can see it's over here. So that's supposed to rotate about this point. So let me undo that and try and remember about where it was. I think it was about over here. And when I rotate it, it doesn't look bad until it gets there. Then it starts opening up over here. So what I want to do on this layer is kind of extend this line a little bit, but not so far that it sticks out past there. So if I maybe spin this just a little more, so it's looking good over here. Well, got a bit of an opening over there. So what I'm going to do is, with my brush tool, I'm going to choose this color. So I'll go to Color Picker. It should be black, which, by the way, if you know anything about hexadecimal numbering system, black is 000000. So you could type it in, but if you see if when I pick on black, it's like, well, that time it actually did get all zeros. Sometimes it gets like something really close to all zeros. There's 000002. That's about as close as you can get without actually being all zeros. So say OK, and then with my brush tool, making sure I'm on that layer, right lower arm, I'm going to shrink down the cursor using the brackets, which are just to the right of the P key on the keyboard. So you can go up and down. There is a shortcut for hardness, but I don't remember that, so always just double check that it's at 100. And now with the black, I'm going to maybe just a little smaller. I'm going to go like this. And then with the yellow, go to yellow, oh, whoopsie. Click here, choose the yellow, say OK, and then just fill that in. Maybe just another little click. Okay. So now when I go back to my Move tool, and I still on that same layer, when I press Control T, when I rotate this back, oops, gotta move the rotation point, put this back where I think it should be, and rotate this back, you'll see that you don't see any opening. Now, if you go really far, you do. So maybe I could fill that in a little bit more. You just have to be careful. And of course, when I go to animate, this piece will have to be behind that piece. Because if it's the other way around, then if I go back to the right lower arm and I spin this now about this, it doesn't really look that bad actually. But if I went around more, made it more of a circle so that that wasn't a problem right there if I wanted to actually bend it that much. But you can see like this black line here is now covering the yellow. So how do you compensate for that? So it's a little hard. And I don't think I have my rotation point in the exact best spot right now. It probably should be a little here. Okay, so you can get that, and then of course this way you can see the black going on it a little bit. So that's why if it's in the back, let me just reposition this totally because it's getting annoying. That looks about right. Move it like this. Okay. Put this over here. Spin this down. So as long as it's in the back, you don't see this black piece going into the yellow. So you have to arrange them properly so that it looks good. Okay, maybe fill this in a little more, and you just got to fiddle with it. So that, and I don't want to take up your time watching me fiddle with Photoshop, but now you see what you have to do. Fill in the thing, put it behind there, spin it back and forth, make sure it doesn't open up too much like this over here. Maybe I should just do this one last one just to drive home the point. Go to the bucket tool. I'll just switch these two. This little arrow right here switches the two colors. So if you're using two all the time, this black and yellow, you can just go back and forth. So now I'm on black, not the bucket tool, the brush tool. Paint in this black a little bit. And then switch them. And now I'm on the yellow. Okay, and then go back to my select tool, Control T. Move the registration point back down to where it looks like the elbow joint is. And you can see my rotation point's not in the best spot because this should be up a little bit. And I use my arrow keys to move it up. So there you go. So now you got an elbow that spins, nothing's covering anything, nothing's opening up. Okay, if you want to go really far, you can color it in some more, but I mean, at some point, you're breaking your arm if you're spinning that much. Which he is a sponge, so I guess maybe he could do that. Okay, so that's what you want to do. So let me save this. And then apply. Oh, you're supposed to say yes. You're supposed to check that. File, save. And then let's go back to my other one that I already did. Done. So you can see that piece. I extended this yellow a little because it was opening up. Let me zoom in and show you. So my hand, I made it rounded. This piece I made rounded. So you could go all the way around. This piece I didn't have to do rounded because this is on top. This is underneath the upper arm, and the hand is underneath the lower arm. And then, if I can move this over, I did the same sort of thing here. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing. And this one, of course, I went all the way around because that's going to spin down and there's nothing that it's going to mess with, so why not just make it a full circle? So you can do things like this, whatever works best for you. A little bit more. Again, whatever works best. So you can see how that goes together. And if I'm on this layer and I choose Control T and move this registration point down to the wrist and spin it, you can see it looks pretty good, except that yellow, maybe I went a little too far because it's covering the black, so maybe I should have taken away some of that yellow. But that's the type of things you want to be doing. You want to be fiddling around with that to get it to look good in Photoshop as you do your spins, so that when you get to the next video, and we do it in Animate, you don't have, obviously then you can't be messing around with your image because it was made in Photoshop. So you got to get it looking good in Photoshop, so when we go to animate it, it looks good there as well. And of course, I only did the arms, but you're going to have a character walking around, so the arms move while you walk, but hey, you really got to do the legs, obviously. And I'm not going to bother to do those because I just want to show you enough in this tutorial to get you to be able to do your whole project. And I think I've done enough now, so I'll shut up. Go ahead and do it. Thank you.